So my name is Catherine Stoneman. I am the Chief Operating Officer for Kido Nurseries. Have been with Kido for just over 5 years now. So since we launched in the UK, we run 13, soon to be 14 good and outstanding nurseries, all inside and around London. And you'll be hearing a little bit more from me after you've heard from Helen, I think.
Thank you very much, Catherine. So welcome everybody again. My name is Helen Royston and I am Head of Early Years Initial Teacher Training for Best Practice. So I'm going to hopefully share with you some information today about why we feel early years teacher status is so important, what the programme looks like, and also eligibility and what you would need to do if you would like to apply. So please, as Kasia said, if you have any questions, pop them into the chat box. We'll do our best to answer them as we're going along. And if not, we'll make sure there's lots of time at the end for questions as well. Okay, so it's a fantastic time to be joining early years. And at the moment, I'm sure you may have seen in the news that there's lots of funding that has been put in place by the government. So as you can see on the slide here, there's £180 million, which is being put forward to help to improve children's development. And it's fantastic that you'll see top of the list there is the graduate level specialist training, which is the early years initial teacher training programme, which we will be talking about today. All of those other things on there, all of those different programmes and things like the stronger practice hubs are all being put in place to try to really boost children's outcomes and also to try to support some of those negative impacts that have happened following on from coronavirus. So one of the reports that has come out recently is the Education Recovery Report by Ofsted. And some of the key points that we've got on the slide here are why we really need fantastic early years teachers to support children's outcomes. So lots of things are still evident from the pandemic, particularly at the moment. Early years providers are trying to really focus on those prime areas of learning. So particularly how we can develop children's communication and language skills, how we can support their personal, social and emotional development, and again, how we can really help them to make strong gains in their physical development. We have seen, unfortunately, that there are lots of children who are needing to be referred for extra support or additional help, who are unfortunately not being seen as early or as quickly as we would like. We did notice, and it was stated in that report, that lots of children were struggling with things like turn taking, sharing, and also listening skills. And you could really see the impact on behaviour. And we know that if we've got strong teachers in there, that is going to help to make all the difference in working on those areas. So again, physical skills, we did see that because lots of children didn't have access to outdoor spaces, perhaps they didn't have a garden, they didn't have access to playgrounds, that again has resulted in some negative impacts in terms of their self-care skills and also their fine and gross motor skills. Thinking about children being ready for reception and giving them the very best start is so important. And again, following on from the pandemic, we have found that some children haven't been ready to take that next step. So that's why it's so important that, again, we recruit people into early years. It's fantastic as well that early years has been hitting the headlines. So I'm sure you'll have seen that the Duchess of Cambridge has been taking on board what she's calling her early years campaign. And her campaign, again, is all about raising public awareness, making sure that people realise just how significant those first 5 years of a children's life is, and what a fantastic impact that has in terms of their future physical and also their mental well-being as adults. So one of the quotes we've got up on there, you can see that the aim is to create that healthier, that happier society, thinking about the future generations. And in order to do that, we've really got to put that focus on the first 5 years of a child's life. and why it makes such a difference if they have a good, strong foundation right at the beginning. And we really, really believe that it's early years teachers that make that difference. There's lots of evidence that shows that graduate leaders are helping to improve the quality in early years provision. And that's not just their own practice, but part of our programme is also about developing you to help you to lead and support others, and what a positive impact that can have on the whole workforce. And how do we know that? What does the research show? So we've put a few different things up there. For example, the Sutton Trust report, which came out in 2020. And that report really, really highlights the difference. So it highlights that for the poorest children, unfortunately, they would already be approximately 11 months behind their better off peers at that point when they start school. And unfortunately, that gap is continuing to widen. And again, some of the gains that we'd made, unfortunately, got wiped out again during the pandemic. If we look at things like the Social Mobility Action Plan, again, the government are really, really clear that they've got a very important ambition that they want to try to halve the number of children who are unfortunately leaving reception class without the language and literacy skills that they need in order to thrive. So their aim to reduce that by half is by 2028. We've also had the white paper that came out in 2022, and the ambition there is that every child should be taught by an excellent teacher. And that's what we truly believe, and that is what we would want to aim towards. So who can apply for early years teacher status, and what does it look like? So in order for you to complete your early years teacher training, you would then come out with early years teacher status. This is a level 6 qualification, and this would make you a specialist covering those age ranges from birth up to 5. Something that we do want to make really clear is that this is not QTS. It's not qualified teacher status. If you are wanting to be able to work in primary schools with the age ranges of maybe 3 to 7 or 5 to 11, you would need to follow a qualified teacher status route for that. So who can apply? We would encourage anyone who's committed to working with the youngest children, who want to influence that practice and support young children's learning. So that could be graduates who are already working in the early years foundation stage. It could be people who are new entrants onto the course. It may also be that you're currently studying something like an early childhood studies degree, and you're going to be graduating in the summer. And why would you want to train with us? So we are really, really proud to say that we are the largest provider of EYITT currently. We have delivered early years professional status as it was from the beginning. So we have many, many years of experience of this programme. We have a really high success rate in terms of people completing the course. And one of the main bonuses is that it is fully funded by the government. So there is £7,000 in training grants and £7,000 which goes across to your employer as an employer incentive. So here's a little overview, and the route that we will be focusing on today is the bottom line, because you would be entering on the graduate employment-based route if you were successful in gaining employment with Kido. So as you can see on there, you would be expected to complete a placement. Now, if you were in a nursery setting that was covering the age ranges for babies, toddlers and preschool, you would just be expected to complete one placement, and that would be a placement to cover those school ages, and it would typically be for 30 days. And that 30 days is split down into 20 days in reception class and 10 days engagement in Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. And that's so that you really get to see continuity in the curriculum, and you get to cover all across those age ranges and gather together lots of evidence towards your early years teacher standards. You will also be invited to at least one training day a month, and there are also lots of online virtual events and things like curriculum enhancement webinars that we run. So what does the programme look like? It's a mixture, so there are some sessions that are face-to-face, and we do deliver training from different venues across the country, and also there is an aspect of remote learning. So you are expected to complete some study independently, and you will have access to Canvas, which is an online resource library to support you with your studies. So on Canvas, you'll have access to different modules, videos, training materials, and links to support you. You will have the support of a personal tutor all the way through the course. So personal tutors, again, are people who have a wealth of experience in early years, and they are there to support you every step of the way. In your own setting at Kido, you will also have a setting mentor, and they will observe you each week. And again, they will be there to have discussions with you and share their early years expertise. You will also have what we call a lead trainer in your setting, and that's somebody who makes sure that you have those opportunities to attend the training day, that you have your placements organised and arranged, and you're able to access everything that you need as you're going through the programme. And for everybody, you have your own individual plan, and you also have an online learning platform. And on that platform, you're able to upload your work, reflect on your learning, work towards your targets, and that's all in collaboration with your personal tutor and also with your mentor. So that's just a nice visual of the programme overall. Of course, you start off in an induction phase, and we will deliver some pre-induction training. You'll complete a little reflection on your own skills and your own knowledge as a starting point. You'll have inductions for both of the online systems that we use to help you to get familiar with them and navigate your way around. And we also complete what we call an Elevate My Maths diagnostic. And that's just to make sure that you are able to evidence that you've got those fundamental skills in mathematics. Across each term, you'll be invited to training days, which cover different focuses. There are a couple of different aspects. So a leadership plan is one way that we can ensure everybody gets an opportunity to lead and support within their settings. There is one reflective account, which is a written essay where you will be able to evidence that you can write at a level 6. And throughout the course, when you spend time in those different age groups, you will complete a number of learning sequences. And those learning sequences are activities that you plan. So you'll look at the assessment of the children, plan some activities, and show how the children are progressing in their learning. At the end of each term, you also have a termly review with your personal tutor and mentor, and we will set you some targets to help you to succeed. And as you can see at the end of the programme, once we've got all of that evidence together, we will make a summative assessment against your early years teacher standards, and we will put you forward for your recommendation. And of course, we would then put together a transition plan to help you in your first year as an early years teacher. You are also observed by your personal tutor at least 5 times across the programme, on top of those weekly observations that you have from your mentor. So what would the role be of those setting mentors? As I said before, your mentors are really, really important. They are expert people. They are there to help you to reflect on your own practice and have ongoing discussions with you. They'll share their own experiences and support you, make suggestions for your targets. The mentor's role is really key in understanding the curriculum that we're delivering and making sure that you are making progress and gathering evidence against those core themes. So we're particularly thinking about how your subject knowledge is developing, your pedagogy, how your behaviour management and your interactions with children is developing, and also your professional behaviours. So thinking about things like partnership with parents and multi-agency working. You will get feedback each week from them, along with that weekly observation, on your practice. And for all mentors, we do again deliver induction, mentor training, and we also have weekly and monthly sessions that the mentors can just drop into and ask any questions. So they've got lots of support in place too. Placements that we looked at on the overview. This is just to make clear that placements do depend on the age groups that you're able to cover in your setting. So for example, in some circumstances, it might be necessary to complete a third placement. And that might be because you need extra experience in babies, or it might be that you want to have a look at a different teaching approach. So how will we assess and put you forward for your recommendation for early years teacher status? It's really done in an ongoing formative way across each week, each month and each term. And all of the evidence that we gather from your work, from your observations and discussions that you have will lead into that summative assessment. So we'll look carefully at your observations, at the reflective account that you submit, your sequences of work and your progress with your termly targets. And all of those things will demonstrate that you're able to master the early years curriculum. When your personal tutor puts you forward for recommendation for your early years teacher status, it will then be verified at exam board. So what would you need? What are the entry criteria if you hopefully are wanting to apply after today? So you will need to have a degree. We will need to see proof of your GCSEs, and that is for English, Maths and Science. They need to be at a grade C or grade 4 or above, or it can be a recognised equivalent. We do need to see that you have the right to work and study in the UK. We will be looking at your competence in terms of spoken and written English, making sure we have a satisfactory DBS check in place. And the team are very much on hand if anybody has any queries in terms of qualifications or if it's equivalent to that level. I will share with you at the end the early years initial teacher training email. So you can always contact us after today as well if you haven't already asked your question in the chat box. If you're in the position where you don't have a GCSE in one of those core subjects that we've just talked about, you do have the option to complete an equivalency test. And we're really, really lucky that Best Practice have managed to broker a really good deal with equivalencytesting.com. So you will get this at a discounted rate in comparison to going to one of the equivalency companies by yourself. If you want to take up that offer, we have the code on there that you would need to use, and you do have two different options. If you are ready to sit the exam and you don't feel that you need to do any extra revision or assignments, there is a cost there just per subject for you to sit the exam. If you feel you would benefit from revising and getting prepared, then you can go for the second option and you will be sent across some assignments to work on before you're ready to sit your examination. So that's all from me, Catherine. I will hand over and you can talk through all the fantastic benefits of joining a Kido nursery.
Thank you very much. Do I need to let you stop sharing your screen? Yeah. Let me just bring up. There we go. Fantastic. So I'll talk you through a few slides just to give you a little bit more of a potted history of Kido and who we are and what we're doing in the early years space. I'll talk you through what we offer as an employer, the training that we also run, which will go alongside your EYITT as well. And then finally, and most importantly, how to apply as well. So just to give you a little bit of background about us, as I said at the start, we run currently 13 nurseries in and around London. We have our 14th nursery opening later on this summer as well. And we are growing at a nice steady rate. So not too quickly and not too slowly. So it means that there's the benefit of progression being available, but also we're opening our nurseries, slowing the growth down enough to make sure that we've got all of the practice and the quality in place that we want to stand by as well. Our vision for early years is to do something a little bit different, really. I was talking to somebody earlier on who works for us who described us as a unicorn in early years, and I really loved that, and I think they're quite right. We love what early years stands for. We think there's just a little bit of tweaking at the edges we can do to make it even better for the people mainly that work there. So we take a really nice approach of magpie, really. We take bits of practice from lots of different places. We don't subscribe to only one school of thought in terms of pedagogy. We like to take bits and pieces from Montessori, from Reggio Emilia. We run nurseries ourselves in India and the US as well. And so we like to pick some of the best practice that we learn from there too. So we have a really blended approach to the education and the delivery that we give to our children. We have beautiful settings which are very neutral. We don't like lots and lots of big bright colours. We find that that's a little bit bewildering for children, so we like to try and keep things nice and gentle and neutral in tone, and as much as possible natural materials and resources as well, from two sides of thought, really. One being that it's nicer for the children, and also environmentally, we're very conscious of our impact on that side of things as well. So our vision really is just to try and be a little bit different. There's a quote on the side there from Philippe, who's our CEO in the UK. The thought of Kido came up from Philippe and our global CEO, Rudy, who set up the company originally in India, and then we've since seeded in the UK and the US. Rudy and Philippe worked together in a previous life as investment bankers, and then both reached the age where they had cumulatively 5 children between them, all of nursery age, and decided that actually they wanted to do something that made a real difference. So Philippe came across to the UK and opened our very first nursery here in Clerkenwell. All of his children then attended our second nursery, which opened in Golders Green. So he's lived and breathed it from a parent perspective, as well as, obviously kind of from a business side of things, wanting to be successful. So more than anyone, he really understands the impact that the staff and the people in our nurseries can have on the children who come there. So that's kind of what generated the idea of Kido and where we came from. We believe it's not rocket science. There are definitely challenges within the early years sector, but ultimately this slide really demonstrates there are 3 really important trunks to running a successful nursery and successful early years network, and that's the children, the team and the people, and the parents. And if you can make these 3 groups of people happy, then you're doing really, really well. So our interest as a company comes from making sure that the people who work for us and the teams that we have are happy and well looked after and nurtured and cared for and put in the best position possible for them to succeed. In turn, we believe that if we've got happy people, that will create happy children who are enjoying the learning, enjoying the environments that we have, enjoying the engagements and the relationships that they have with our practitioners. And if our children are happy, then it leads on to our parents being happy and our families being happy. So it's really that easy in some senses. Those 3 groups of people are the ones that we want to kind of make sure we're all looking after. And we try and do that by taking a slightly different approach to the way that we organise ourselves as a company. So I'm going to talk to you about this team of lovely people here who are our hub team. We don't like the phrase head office. We don't believe in hierarchy at all. So we've done away with that. This group of people that you see on the screen before you all exist to make your lives in nurseries easier. And that's really our mantra. So we talk a huge amount about the concept of servant leadership. We agonize over making sure that what we're doing is taking work away from you guys in a nursery, allowing you to really focus on the relationships and the education with children, rather than perhaps some of the more administrative tasks or the HR tasks, paperwork, invoicing, all of that exciting stuff. We try and take a lot of that work away from you. And it's also really important to note that actually pretty much all of this group have worked in early years themselves. So we're not a hub team who don't know what it's like on the floor in the nurseries. The majority of the people in our hubs have actually worked in nurseries and for Kido nurseries themselves before working their way up. So in this picture, I can see Gemma, who looks after our billing and our finances. Gemma used to be one of our room leaders at our Clerkenwell nursery. We have Pang, who's one of our recruiters, who if you apply would probably be one of the first people that you engaged with and spoke to. Pang was again one of our deputy managers in our Windsor nursery when we first opened there. We've got Jessie as another example, who looks after our customer engagement, so does some of the sales and marketing for us. And again, she used to work in our Camden nursery. So hopefully what this illustrates is that two things really. One, you have a team who are deeply invested in early years, who understand absolutely what it's like to be in a nursery every single day, what it's like to do their qualifications along the way, juggling work at the same time. But you also have a team that demonstrates the career opportunities for you if you're coming into Kido. We believe deeply in progressing our people internally through the company with us. So it means that we can carve out and create lovely career paths. So joining us now, potentially as an unqualified staff member, coming on to do your EYITT, joining then as a practitioner, or coming straight in to be a room leader. You can then go on to become a third in charge, potentially a deputy manager, maybe run one of your own nurseries one day, and ultimately then define where your passion really lies in the business. And if you wanted to, hopefully you could potentially join our training team one day, or our marketing and sales team, or the recruitment team, the people team, the finance team, if that's what ends up ticking your boat. So yeah, there's no kind of limit, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say in terms of where we're able to offer progression. So that's a little bit about who we are, and also the success and the pathways that you guys can have with us potentially as well. I'd like to just talk a little bit about our own training, which would run alongside the EYITT as well. We believe that our jobs as educators, it depends entirely on us then educating ourselves continuously. That doesn't stop once you get your qualification. It's a continuous process. We're always looking for ways to better ourselves and support colleagues and to enhance our skill set as well. So the picture that you see here is actually a partnership that we have with the Royal Shakespeare Company, who have come in and we've delivered training to all of our room leaders, deputies and our managers, so that then we can bring theatre into the nurseries much more as well. So we do, last year we did Romeo and Juliet, and this year we're going to do, I believe, Midsummer Night's Dream. So we'll bring some of those ideas and those concepts into the nursery as well. The training that we offer, and actually it leads me to talk a little bit about the structure again. We have dedicated people trainers. So at Kido, we don't particularly like having area managers or operations managers, because it doesn't remain true to our passion, which is our people. So instead what we have is people trainers, because if you look after our people and we make sure they're happy, all of the other facets of running a nursery and running a business will look after themselves. So our people trainers look after no more than 5 nurseries, and they are completely dedicated to the development and the progression and the training of all of the staff that work in those nurseries. They all come from a background of being nursery managers themselves. So again, they know exactly what it's like to be where you would potentially be, and they will help you on that journey every single day. They spend a lot of time in the nurseries working with the teams, role modelling best practice and supporting, leading staff meetings, and doing coaching and mentoring opportunities as well. We host 2 inset days, increasing to 3 inset days every single year. And on those days, we completely shut all of the nurseries. and we just have those days dedicated to your training and development. It might be that we sometimes section that depending on who has which role within the nursery. So we'll get our managers together for a training, our practitioners, our room leaders separately, or it may be that there's a really big common theme that we want to train on across all of the different sites. So those days vary in terms of their impact and their intent as well. And then the last thing on training that I wanted to talk about was our passion projects, which is something quite unique to Kido. What we want to do is make sure that we recognise where people really feel the most fulfilled, and that is usually in an area that they are most excited and most passionate about, and that will be different for every single person. So across our network, we have staff who take on passion projects as a way to enhance their career and their development, but also then for them to take a really big lead in delivering training and delivering the content for their passion projects across all of our settings. So at the moment, we have 2 passion champions for each subject area. We have 2 for health and safety, 2 for what we call our Explorer Days. So these are days which have a different theme each month, which are carried out across the sites and across the different nurseries, 2 for STEM, so if that's an area that you're particularly interested in, and 2 for our literacy as well, so literacy champions. And I imagine that very soon we'll have numeracy champions as well to balance that out with them. And in fact, one of our literacy champions is a graduate from Best Practice Network's EYITT herself. So she's our nursery manager in Golders Green. So it's lovely just as a demonstration to see where your passions can take you. And if you've got a particular flair and skill for something, then we really as a company would love to be able to nurture that and help you share that with everybody else. Finally, let me talk to you a little bit about the benefits. So working for Kido obviously means joining a people-centred company. Hopefully I've got that across to you all. We are quite generous in our holiday allowance. It's 28 days, including bank holidays, but it increases every single year with length of service up to 30 days. And you always get your birthday off as well if it falls on a working day. Lots of training, lots of development, and lots of career progression opportunities. We're growing at, as I said, a steady pace of about 4 or 5 nurseries opening each year. So it means that there's a nice constant flow of opportunities coming up, manager roles, deputy manager roles, room leader positions, and also, as I said, kind of the potential to go into one of our hub opportunities too. We pay for Perkbox for everybody. So everyone has access to that. If you've not heard of Perkbox, then it's an app that you get on your phone. It gives you access to hundreds of different discounts across a variety of different things. So it could be that you're getting your lunch from Tesco's using your Perkbox points. You get discounts at Sainsbury's. I was having a look for somebody yesterday for phone insurance that you can get for free through Perkbox. We credit your account with Perkbox points every single month. You can save them up and spend them on things like Greg's or Cafe Nero, or I use mine for something called Tribe bars, which are nutritional running bars that you can take out with you. So there's loads and loads of different things on there. And one of the nice benefits that also comes with Perkbox is access to a completely free and confidential employee assistance programme as well. So it's completely independent to us. We recognise that life can be challenging for people at the moment, and we want to do whatever we can to support them. So the employee assistance programme is there for you to reach out to if you ever need somebody to talk to, or structured free counselling, which is available through there as well. The other couple of things we have: cycle to work scheme, obviously pensions, access to something called Hasty, which is again is an app which we pay for, which means that you can access your earnings partway through the month. So rather than having to wait until payday, if something happens, your tyre bursts or your boiler breaks halfway through the month, please don't go to a high interest loan. You can always access part of your earnings halfway through the month. And we also do interest-free hardship loans for anyone that needs it as well. And then lastly is 70% off if you have children who you'd like to attend one of our nurseries, then we offer quite a large discount for that as well. So the last thing that I'd like to leave you in is our lovely Sean. So Sean's our nursery manager in our Camden nursery. Sean's been with us for 4.5 years now. And again, I've used him as an example because he is an EYITT through the Best Practice Network graduate himself too. So he has early years teacher status, started with us as a room leader, took over as a deputy manager in our Golders Green nursery, saw them through an outstanding inspection, and then got a promotion himself to now running our Camden nursery, and his little girl comes along there with him as well. So just a really nice success story to finish on for you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. That's fantastic. It sounds like such a brilliant opportunity and lots of amazing benefits as well. So we have been answering all the questions that are in the chat box. Catherine, if you're able to stop sharing, I will just bring up one final slide, which has got the email on that people may want to use following on from today. So what would you need to do in order to take your next steps? You can go onto the Best Practice Network website /EYITT, and you will find on there lots of the information that we've covered today, as well as a frequently asked questions section, which might pick up on some of the things that you might think about afterwards if you have any questions following on from today. Please feel free to contact us with any queries at all, whether it's about whether you are eligible, any qualifications queries, funding queries, then our EYITT team are there to help you. So please send them an email. We do have at the moment our next deadline in place, which is if you are able to apply before the 10th of March, we will guarantee you an interview before Easter. So in terms of what you need to do, when you go onto the website, you will find there is an apply now button. You can click on that link and you would start off by completing part 1 of your application, which will just ask for your personal details. And then part 2 is where you are able to start uploading your certificates and qualifications if you have them already. So once we finish today, Kasia will be emailing everybody to make sure that we keep in contact with you, and we will also send you over a step-by-step guide which will help you if you want to go ahead with your application. So does anybody have any other questions? I'll just keep my eye on the chat box for a couple more minutes. It looks like we have answered all of the ones that are in there so far. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for everybody for attending, and we really, really hope that we hear from you soon. And thank you very much, Catherine, for joining us today.
No problem at all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.